Under the Rainbow, what can I say? To be honest, part of me doesn't really know. And I'm surprised that it's got 5.5 out of 10 on IMDb because it's not a good film. I think it may have its audience, but personally, I don't understand it. So I only watched this initially because Carrie Fisher is in it. But the premise sounded quite interesting. I'll discuss that in a moment, but I won't give any spoilers. I'm not really sure it can be spoiled, to be honest. But it was released in 1981, directed by Steve Rash, and stars Chevy Chase and Carrie Fisher. And the description from IMDb is as follows. A visiting dignitary, a CIA agent, a Nazi spy, Japanese tourists, an assassin, and a group of quote-unquote midget actors from The Wizard of Oz all check into an elite LA hotel called Under the Rainbow. So straight away we have absolute chaos because there are so many people in a very tiny space. It's a very noisy film. There's a lot going on, which has its benefits because it means that it's quite fast-paced. And I do think the pacing, credit completely where credit is due. I think the pacing of the film is very good. The development of the narrative, or what narrative there is pretty good because it's an absolute farce and it's just one chaos after another, but it never kind of lags. We never kind of stay on one issue for too long. We're quickly moving on to the next, constantly going forward and moving. So with the narrative that it's trying to present, it does it well. I just don't personally think the narrative itself is any good. I don't think it's very interesting, but what they do with it does work. Honestly, it's chaos. It's absolute chaos. It's not really about The Wizard of Oz. Carrie, she plays a character called Annie Clark, and she's in charge of creative casting or something like that. Basically, she's one of the head of the team who are in charge of getting these quote-unquote midget actors for The Wizard of Oz. And I like her character. She's very likeable. She looks amazing. Her costumes for this are sensational. Is it the most PC film? No, it isn't. There's one bit where, in fact, I'm not even going to go into any details, but with these quote-unquote midget actors, it's treating them the way you'd expect from a 1980s film. I don't have a problem with that. Not that I'm saying I respect films that are a little bit offensive towards minority groups, but I don't have a problem with it because it was the done thing in the 80s. If it was released now, I'd probably have an issue. But we have to accept the past for what it is and learn from it. But it's certainly not the worst. I will say though, don't get sucked in by the Wizard of Oz concept. There's nothing about this that is like the Wizard of Oz. Nothing at all. Which is fine because it doesn't really say it is. The acting is good enough. Chase is Bruce Thorpe. He's pretty decent. Carrie Fisher, obviously, is absolutely fantastic. And she made it bearable, but it's just chaos. There's too much going on. Nothing really blends together. There are too many characters. I think there were 150 of the film extras meant to be staying at the hotel, if I remember correctly, around about that. The film was also nominated for 2 Razzies, the worst supporting actor and the worst musical score. The musical score's fine. It's not interesting, but I didn't think it was bad. And the worst supporting actor was Billy Barty, which, again, he played Otto, and I don't see an issue with the acting. It also was nominated for the Stinkers Bad Movie Awards for the worst supporting actor, again for Barty, and the most intrusive musical score, which again, I don't really think that's it. However, it did win the Stinkers Bad Movie Awards for the most annoying fake accent male, which went to Billy Barty. But, for me the problem is not the acting, it's the narrative, or lack thereof. It's just too much, and nothing at all at the same time. If you like any of the cast, I'd say give it a watch. Particularly Carrie Fisher, her performance was great. Well, Her performance was as good as it could be, given the film. There's a scene where she screams and shouts for help, and I thought her performance in those few seconds was actually very captivating and very powerful. She has the best eye makeup, and the dialogue throughout the film is pretty alright. There's a bit where there's some mistaken identity with a dog, and it's, the dialogue is pretty decent, actually. I will give it that. But other than that, I wouldn't rush to watch Under the Rainbow.